This is Detective Explainer. Today I'm going to explain a thriller drama film called Autumn Blood. Spoiler is ahead, watch out and take care. High in the mountains on a secluded alpine farm, a girl and her younger brother live a peaceful life with their parents. One day, while the father is repairing his tractor, he suddenly takes a rifle and dashes off to confront a man bothering his wife. The kids follow suit, then hear a gunshot. And horrifyingly, they witness their father being killed by the man right in front of them. The younger brother sees a gift on the ground beside his father's dead body, making it clear to them that the man was pursuing their mother. Through the years, the girl blossoms into a beautiful young lady. While bathing in the lake, she hears a hunter's gunshot. Her daily routine is comprised of helping her mother manage their small farm, from tending to the animals to doing household chores, and taking care of her younger brother. The siblings continue with their lives despite the traumatic experience they went through, and they grow up to be happy and close to each other. At a church in town, the man who murdered the siblings' father attends the mass with his son. It turns out that the man is the town's mayor. The mother is sick, so she asks her daughter to run an errand for her. The siblings then head together to the town, but they pause for a while upon seeing a man with a white horse. After running their errand, the two walk back home while a savage butcher is eyeing them. The girl also catches the mayor watching her and her brother. Back at home, the girl spots a gift that looks like the one they saw on the day their father was killed. She opens the gift and discovers that it contains a white dress. When the mother sees her, she's immediately disappointed and wastes no time in taking the dress away. And in her anger, she heads straight to the kitchen to burn it. The days are hardly distinguishable from each other as they pass. And this one hardly feels any different too. But as the boy is fixing the fences while his sister is away, an odd feeling strikes him. For some reason, he feels compelled to check on his mother. So he goes inside their house. The boy holds back his tears when he finds her lying on the bed, and he comes close to her and examines her breathing. His mother is dead. He and his sister are now orphaned and alone in this cruel world. Meanwhile, the girl is swimming in the stream, fully undressed as though she's one with nature, completely innocent and unaware of how the world regards her womanhood. While resting, she becomes startled and perplexed when the mayor's son approaches her with a fervid look. She tries to get away, but the man blocks her and holds her down. Try as she may to escape, the man is much stronger than her, rendering her powerless. As for her brother, he's completely heartbroken by his mother's death. There's nothing for him to do but to wait outside for his sister's return, oblivious to the horror she's going through. After the man ravages the crying girl's body, he points a gun to her head before firing it into the air to frighten her. Though the poor girl's going through the indescribable motions of pain and anguish, she has to force herself to carry on and go back home on her wobbling feet. Immediately, concern washes over the brother as he spots the blood stains on her clothes from a distance. He runs to help her get up when she stumbles, knowing that there's nothing she can do to bring justice to what just happened to her. The girl sits in the corner, crying in silence with her brother by her side. But soon she gets herself together so she can mourn her mother's death and wash the blood off her body, crying again through the pain and horrors of the day. Meanwhile, the mayor's son is with his friends, and they notice the wound on his neck. It's the very clear indication of how much the girl struggled and fought against him when he had his way with her. As for the siblings, they fear that the mayor's son might come after them, so the siblings just keep their mother's death a secret. They carry her corpse beside their father's grave in the early morning. The girl reads a passage, and they reminisce the time they spent with their mother as they bury her. After their loss, the siblings carry on with their life just trying to survive. The sister goes down to the town to run her usual errands. The clerk immediately notices her disheveled appearance and bruises, making him worry for her safety. The friends of the mayor's son start eyeing the girl as she enters the church to return the small Bible she used for her mother's burial. Suddenly, the mayor shows up from behind, so the girl quickly tries to escape. But the men all block her way, threatening her. The girl knows all too well that these men will come after her once they know that she and her brother are alone. So she dashes off in fear. The moment she arrives home, she loads their rifle to have something to protect her and her brother with. That night, while the brother is asleep, the girl stays awake holding the rifle. The noises from outside alert her, so she carefully walks towards the door to find out what it is, but there's no one there. She goes back to the room, and there she sees a man sneaking through the window. The girl hurriedly fires the gun, but she misses. The gunfire awakens her brother, who hides behind her back right away. Unfortunately, the butcher soon takes him hostage. The men and the mayor's son threaten to kill her brother, so she's left with no choice but to surrender and hand the rifle to the intruders. This time, the butcher mercilessly assaults the girl. There's a hint of guilt on the blonde guy and the mayor's son as they take the brother outside the room. The following day, a social worker comes to town after the clerk called her. He explains his observations, and the clerk is very concerned about the girl and wants the woman to help her. While they're talking, the mayor shows up and eavesdrops on their conversation. And when it's time for the social worker to head back to her car, the butcher's intense stare distracts her. Back in the siblings' house, the brother is taking care of his devastated sister when he hears a car approaching. He goes out to check it. But he realizes that it could just be their intruders again, so he immediately locks the door. When the woman arrives, she knocks at the door, but no one answers. She enters through the back door instead, only to find that there's no one inside. As she examined the place, she doesn't see the girl hiding behind the clothes in the closet and the boy under the bed. Even if the siblings knew who she was, they may be afraid to get separated since they're both minors. So they only come out once the woman leaves. Meanwhile, the mayor visits the graves of the siblings' parents. Is it possible that he's feeling remorseful for what he did to their father? That night, the child guards the house with the rifle in his young hands while his sister sleeps. The mayor then meets his son as he's drinking with his friends to ask about the social worker. The next day, the villagers attend the mass, along with the mayor and those cruel and sick intruders. When mass is about to start, the social worker comes in. She sits behind the clerk and notices the obvious bruises on the poor man's face. With the social worker snooping around to investigate, the assailants figured that they ought to silence their victim and the witness. So they head to the kid's house armed with guns. As for the siblings, they try to get back on their feet, and they're doing their usual round of chores when they hear a car approaching. Traumatized from the string of horrific incidents, the girl succumbs, in fear of another violent tragedy waiting for them. But her brother manages to convince her to get back to her senses so they can escape this ordeal. The men arrive and break in only to find an empty house. The blonde guy stays outside, and he spots the siblings running away from the back of the house. He aims his gun at them, but he hesitates to shoot until the other men came out. The siblings run for their lives to the woods as quickly as they can, determined to make it out of there safely. Unfortunately, the vicious men are also resolute to catch them dead, so they're not making this easy for them at all. When the two make it to the stream side, the girl decides that it's best for them to split up. The boy hides through the woods, and the girl hides through the mountain ridges. But these men are hunters. And they trace the siblings' whereabouts as if they're hunting for animals. Later on, while the girl is still hiding, she hears a series of gunshots. She crawls over the ridges in fear as the gunshots continue. Back to the town, the sight of the bruised clerk heightens the social worker's suspicion, so she goes to his house to question him. She knocks at the door and waits, but the clerk locks himself up and does not answer. The woman can't force him and just walks away. As the men continue to headhunt the siblings, the girl reaches the waterfall and climbs the steep rocks on the side. The blonde guy eventually finds her, and he follows suit until he takes hold of her foot, trying to pull her down. While this is happening, the girl is completely unaware that the butcher has the perfect view to shoot her from. But when the butcher fires at her, the mayor's son stops him, making him miss his target. The girl then kicks the blonde guy to his demise. The butcher is startled by what the mayor's son did, and when he sees the fallen companion, he gets angry, especially since the girl has gone away. She braves through her near-death experience and safely climbs up the mountain. As for her brother, running for his life in the woods is all he could do, but he eventually stops when he notices the smoke. Undoubtedly, their pursuers are still hot on their trail. While the butcher is peeing, the mayor's son is behind him, and he ponders whether he should shoot his friend. He doesn't do it, but the butcher still picks up on his intent and takes the hint. Later on, the brother isn't hiding when suddenly, someone knocks him down. It's the vile butcher, and he hauls the boy over his shoulder like some animal he hunted down. The girl goes back to the woods to look for her brother. But no matter how much she searches, there's not a single trace of him. The butcher brings the unconscious brother to the mayor's son, who then checks if the boy is still alive. Eventually, the girl finds them, and the dire situation terrifies her for her brother's life. But she can't succumb to fear and panic, not when her brother's in deep danger. So, she spies on them from a distance. To check on his condition, she does a series of hand whistles to mimic the sound of a chirping bird. And this awakens the boy as the sound is familiar to him. The mayor's son notices the boy opening his eyes and pretending to be unconscious again, but he doesn't notify his friend. When both men are looking away from him, the brother suddenly tries to escape, but his attempt is immediately thwarted as the assailants stop him, and just in time, they catch sight of the girl as she quickly runs away. The butcher orders the mayor's son to chase after the girl, while he keeps an eye on the brother, so they can use him as bait for their ultimate target. The mayor's son searches for the girl and fails to find her hiding under the rock. Meanwhile, the butcher gets pissed off because the boy keeps trying to break free from his grip, so he decides to let him walk on his own. But the girl is watching them, just waiting for the right time. And when the opportunity presents itself, she throws a rock straight at the butcher's head. The brother gets the chance to flee, but suddenly from out of nowhere, an unknown person shoots the butcher, startling the siblings. The boy and the butcher see each other eye to eye, and finally, he witnesses the cruel man takes his last breath. Not long after, another shot is fired, and it's revealed to be the mayor's son aiming at the girl. Frantic, she screams at her brother to run. The mayor's son keeps firing as he chases after her. And eventually, the girl gets shot on her foot. As for the brother, he just keeps running, while his sister treats her wound. But no matter how bleak and dire the situation is, the girl keeps her desperation to survive, and she crosses over a strong current of water. She soon enters a cave, and she spends the night there as she falls asleep with all of her clothes off. The mayor's disgusting son also stops to rest somewhere. And the brother returns to their house. The next morning, the brother wakes up with a social worker beside him. Meanwhile, the girl dreams of the happy moments she had with her brother, until the sound of footsteps awaken her. The mayor's son is at the entrance of the cave. Still undressed, she slowly goes outside to find no one. And she weeps heavily as fear overwhelms her. Time passes and the exhausted girl finally makes her way back to their farm. But there, she comes face to face with the mayor's son, and her brother and the social worker come out to help her. The woman tries to protect them, but at this point, the girls had enough of all the running, chasing, and living in fear under someone's thumb, so she challenges him to shoot her. Her display shocks the mayor's son, and he ends up hesitating. But before he could come to a decision, he is shot to death by his own father. The harrowing turn of events surprises them, and while they're all mystified by what just happened, the mayor gives the rifle to the girl. He's letting her shoot him and take revenge for their father's death. And perhaps, in extension, to find justice for the string of violent tragedies that were thrusted upon her and her brother. The girl is about to fire, to end the life of the man who ended her father's own. But in the end, she chooses not to. The siblings are reunited, and the social worker takes them with her, leaving the mayor stunned and alive. As the siblings walk towards the car, the girl spots a gift inside the mayor's vehicle, and it looks exactly like the present from before with the white dress. Before they depart for the new life awaiting them, she takes one last look at the mayor's direction. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.